So today we're breaking down 4 different ways that you can get your book done quickly and effectively so that you can get those ideas out of your head and finally write the bestseller to create legacy and passive income that you have been dreaming of in your business. So lean in and get a pen ready because you're going to want to take notes today. So one of the biggest things that stands in the way of people getting their book done is finding the time to focus. Now, as with everything in your business, there is nothing more powerful than building a winning team to make sure that you, the leader and visionary, can carve out the time and space to focus on legacy projects. It's the work that's going to live on beyond you. It's the IP that you operationalize that is going to make your business sellable. It's the IP that you operationalize that is going to allow you to build a self-led company. And getting your ideas down in a structured format for a book is also a great way to develop the precursor for programming that ultimately can be led and delivered by your team. So there is nothing more important in this process than remembering that if you want to do more than just owning your own job and you want to have a successful business with multiple streams of income, the team is behind the dream. But now that we got that part out of the way, let's talk about your book. So many people stress out about writing their book, and it's said that something like over 80% of people believe that they have a book inside of them, but most never actually get it down on paper. And I don't want that to be you. Writing a book can be one of the most fulfilling or frustrating experiences of your life. And so getting this part right is going to be key in how you create this experience. And let's be honest, if you are able to get to the point where you can write multiple books and consistently put out books, you're going to have more streams of income, you're going to have more lead generation tools for your business, and you're going to have more ways for people to better understand you as a thought leader so that they can ultimately become your customer. So let's back it up before we go forward. When you think about writing your book, obviously many people, when they think about writing a book, they think about having to stow away in a cabin for weeks on end, not work on anything else, and just write. And this is why so many people never get their books done, because let's be honest, that is just not realistic or ideal for most of us in today's world. But you don't have to stow away for weeks on end or put your business on hold in order to write a book. In fact, there are all different ways that you can get your book done, and none of them require either of those things. Now, I will tell you, I learned this through experience. As many of you know, I have multiple best-selling books. They've been a really great source of both list building as well as generating high-ticket clients for the business. And I have a week set aside later this fall to actually write my next book and get it ready to bring it to the world. So it's definitely something that I encourage you to do as one of your long-term pillars in building your brand. And there are a multitude of ways that it will pay off in building your authority and growing your income long-term if you make it a regular and consistent part of how you do business. Now, my very first book was Unstoppable: 9 Principles for Unlimited Success in Business and in Life. And this book was so powerful that actually a couple of years ago, I went back, I updated the cover, I updated the inside of the book, and I republished it again because the principles are so powerful and so timely. And I wanted to be able to continue to use the book after everything that I had learned from the time that I had first written it. But this book, I did the traditional way. I sat with my laptop, I put aside hours upon hours to actually type out my book. And it was a fairly difficult process for me to actually get the book written. Because for me, I actually don't typically sit at a desk at all. Those of you that know me know I run my entire business from my phone. I'm actually standing while I'm recording this right now. I avoid sitting at a desk like the plague. I did that for many, many years, and it's not enjoyable for me. So that was difficult because the sitting and typing, I'm not a fast typer, and it doesn't typically allow my ideas to flow at the speed of my thought process. And it also just felt heavy and hard. But I got it done. And the way that I did it was I literally sat with my calendar. I built out all of my time blocks for writing in advance. And then At the end of the process, I built out multiple full days to go back through and do the editing process. The editing process is one of the hardest processes, I believe. And, typically you do need to go back through the book 2 or 3 rounds of edits, even after you're done the writing part. So for me, the way that I was able to get this done the first time was being really, really clear about the blocks that I needed to have on the calendar, really specific about allocating separate time. I usually did it early in the morning before my day started, which then allowed me to still be able to complete the other tasks that I needed to complete in order to do that. That was the hardest book that I've written. And it was because of the format through which I wrote it. Okay. But it wasn't until I began going through the process of writing and delivering multiple books that I began to explore all the other ways that I could go about getting my books done. And this became a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable for me. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about 3 other books that I wrote and how I got those done. And really the purpose of this episode is to help you think about what is your natural content creation style, what is going to be the most enjoyable way for you to get your book done, and what is going to be the most time and cost efficient way for you to get your book out in the world so that you can make a meaningful difference, make some money, and create a lasting impact. So let's talk about a few of the other books that I've written. The Live Launch book is a book that I constructed almost exclusively from content that was already done. So I basically provided my live launch workshop videos to my editor. My editor went through those videos, stripped out all of my teaching materials. We then took testimonials of 40 clients that had had amazing success with the live launch and gave them a format to submit their story. And this gave them the opportunity to be featured in the book. So when I did the live launch book, that flowed really easily and really well because it was based on structured teaching content that I had already delivered. It was 80% done before I even needed to start going through and just making little nuanced tweaks to it. And because it was based on the framework of content that was already designed and delivered, it already had a framework, a structure, a process it was following. It was designed in building blocks. So it made it really, really easy to turn that into an educational book. So the second concept that you can think about when designing a book that you want to deliver is looking at a structured content process that you've already written, recorded, delivered, and providing that to an editor to help you take that and turn that into a well-structured and flowing book. This is really good if you have IP or a concept that you really want to develop ownership of. And for me, when I created the live launch, I knew that there were going to be thousands of copycats. I knew that this was going to blow up beyond belief, and it already was from the moment that I started bringing it to the market. And for me, it was really important to get the live launch book written, done, and out so that I had that pillar piece of content that had the date in which it was designed that I could put my stamp on, knowing that because the live launch is a methodology, it can be registered, but it cannot be trademarked, which means I will never be able to fully trademark the live launch. I have it registered on the trademark registry, which says, as of this date, I created it, I started using it, it's protected from that standpoint, but it can never be fully trademarked, which was another reason why I wanted to make sure that I wrote the book on it, because I literally wrote the book on live launching. You get it? Okay. So that's something to think about if you have structured IP that is really taking on a life of its own, that you want to make sure that there's a historical tie back to your design and creation of those materials with a timestamp on it. Now, let's talk a little bit about another one of my books, Bigger Than You. Bigger Than You has actually been probably my most profitable book to date. It's attracted many, many of our high ticket clients. A lot of the people in our Legacy Leaders Mastermind actually came from reading that book. And it was from reading that book that they knew that I was the mentor that they wanted to work with to build autonomous and self-led teams. Now, Bigger Than You, I did completely differently. With Bigger Than You, I actually outlined the list of chapters. I provided them to my editor, and I actually had my editor interview me. And she interviewed me. And then basically through those interviews, she recorded and transcribed all of my answers, everything that I gave her. And then from that, she was able to take that, put that into the flow of chapters that I had already provided, and then add stories into each chapter to then kind of take the concept and then pull it full circle to bring the reader into the experiential realm of what I was teaching in the book. Now, this book, if you haven't read it, you should probably go order it right now. And it's all about building winning teams. So if you're an entrepreneur, this is the playbook on how to build profit producing winning teams online. So I definitely recommend that you grab a copy of Bigger Than You if you haven't already. But that was a really fun and easy book for me to create because once again, I was teaching on content that I have taught on so many times over and over and over again. But for me, the interview style tends to bring out my best work. I find that a lot of my best content is when I interview on someone else's podcast or when I'm on a panel and people are asking me questions. So for me, this was probably the most natural and the easiest book that I did that I enjoyed the most, quite frankly, because of the format that I did it in. Now, if you're not someone who enjoys speaking free flowing, or you're someone that needs to follow a lot of notes or doesn't really think well on your feet, that isn't your natural style, this may not be for you. But for me, I tend to do my best work when I'm speaking, so it made sense that that was an easier format for me to follow. Now, if you like the idea of doing your book with audios, but you don't want to have to just think on your feet and answer in an interview format, then you may like the format that I use for the Conviction Marketing book. And so this was another audio designed book, but I did this one differently. So in this one, I created the framework, the structure, the flow of the chapters, and then basically I recorded audios, and I recorded permanent audios that my editor could listen to. And I literally free flowed, right into those audios. She took those audios, she transcribed them, she massaged them, edited them, and boom, that's how I got that book done. Okay. So if you want something that is in an audio format because it's easier for you than writing, but you don't want to have to answer questions on the spot. You want to be able to put some notes together, put some bullets together, do a bit more preparation, then this might be a perfect format for you. Again, what it really comes down to is, do you enjoy more the process of writing, or do you enjoy more the process of speaking? Do you find that your ideas come to you in a more free-flowing way when you're speaking live with someone, or do you find that you do better when you have bullet points and notes in front of you? And these are all personal preferences, but this is why it's so important to really think about, what do you actually enjoy? Because the number one thing I believe in writing and creating books is to find a format that you enjoy, because the more books that you write, the more profitable this income stream can become for you. And for me, I slowed down. I took a multi-year break. I actually have a book written that I haven't published yet that I need to go back and do the next round of edits on. And I have so many more books inside of me that I want to write and get done. And I intentionally took a step back because I was rebranding my company. I was launching multiple companies in the portfolio. I was taking on a lot of new things all at once, and it just wasn't the time to focus on outside projects. But now I'm finally getting back to a place where I'm ready to put some new things on my plate. And so I'm going back, I'm working on recording the audiobooks for some of the books that are already written, which, by the way, hands down, if you already have a book and you haven't done the audiobook for it, I would do that first before you create an entirely new one. But what I want you to do more than anything is I want you to find a process that you enjoy and a format that works for you. Because the more books that you create, the more income streams that you'll have, the more passive income that you can build. And I look very harshly at the term passive income. There's almost nothing, including real estate, that is passive. Almost everything that you do has some form of activity that you have to intentionally do to drive the sale or the management of that income stream. Books are the one thing that I can honestly say, if I look at the last 2 years, we have not been proactively marketing my books. In fact, we've been giving away the digital copies for free, and yet my sales continue to come in, every single month, right, from my books, which is why I'm excited to write more books and to record more book audios. But that said, that's because I have a very active brand otherwise. So even though I could say that that is completely passive, which it is, It's also a byproduct of all of the other activities that I'm doing to build my brand. So you see, there really is no truly passive income. But I think books are about as close as you can possibly get. I will say that. So if you're listening to this today and you have a book inside of you, I hope you get excited to pick the format that works for you, whether it's writing in traditional fashion. Now, obviously, there are so many additional stylus pens and digital books that you can use that can transcribe even your handwritten notes into printed form. So that might be a platform that works for you. But find the platform that works for you. Find the modality that feels fun, feels light, feels enjoyable, and just get it done. I will say above all else that no matter what format you're using to write and record your book, you do need to set aside the time and make it a priority, whether you're going to do an hour every couple of days, whether you're going to have a writing retreat, whether you're going to have a set day and time each week that you meet with your editor. Just get it on the calendar and make that commitment, because it makes all the difference. And just one more time, if you are a business leader that's listening to this that's saying, oh my gosh, I'm dying to write a book. I would love to be able to focus on these types of things in my business, but I just feel like I have too much on my plate. I want you to DM me the word team, and I want to get you to chat with a member of my staff about some of our mentorship and coaching programs that can show you how to build a self-led, autonomous team and scalable business that is going to allow you to focus on legacy projects like writing your books, like recording your audiobooks, so that you can really truly feel fulfilled in the work that you're doing and not be stuck down in the weeds every single day. So one more time, I want to invite you to DM me the word team. This can be on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you like to hang out. DM me the word team, and I'll hook you up with a free session with a member of my team so that you can chat about what's happening in your business and how you can make the time and space to prioritize things like building your passive income, quote unquote, with writing and recording your books. I hope you got value out of today's session. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you back here next time.